Natty's finest fantasy football report. I'm the commish, and as always, coming to you live from the Natty's finest studios. It's week 11, ladies and gentlemen. Only 3 weeks left in the regular season. Can you feel it in the air? Yeah, feels like playoffs. And for some teams, playoff starts this week. You gotta have that win or go home attitude, or you're gonna go home. We've also got a pretty good Thursday night football game tonight, not to mention between Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos versus the New York Jets. If anybody out there is starting Tim Tebow, I've only got one thing to say. If the Bible is your playbook, you can't lose. It's Tim Tebow, baby. Got a lot to cover this week. Week 10 matchups, current standings, of course, weekly prizes. Got a treat for you guys. We've got the first ever Natty's Finest Skype interview with B-Rob and them boys coming up. More key injuries to the football season this year. We'll go over some key injuries for teams. We got the Week 11 matchups to cover. My picks, of course, the game of the week, and the Natty's Finest Power Rankings. Let's get into the Week 10 matchups. First, we had them boys versus, oh no, backups. Big game for both. Looking to hit the 500 mark, both one game under 500 before this game started. In the end, them boys just absolutely crushed oh no backups. Romo and Michael Bush putting up 30-plus points. Laurent Robinson, their acquisition, and Green Bay's defense putting up 20-plus points. Just an all-around great day for them boys. Oh no backups. You did have your stud, DeMarco, putting up 27. However, that was it. Your quarterback got broken ribs. Wasn't a good week for you. You fell out of the playoff contention. We'll see if you can rebound. Again, them boys 157. Oh no backups, 90. Next up, we had Gully versus Wildcats. Not an exciting game right here. Ending score was Wildcats 81, Gully 77. It was a close one. In the end, it was too much Gronkowski. 28 points for the Wildcats. Absolute stud at tight end. Eli did put 25 up for Gully. You need to score more in this league. Wildcats, I see it recurring. You're always under 100. Gully, you seem to be the same way. I know you're fighting the injury bug. You got to put up points to win, fellas. Let's go. You got Moss versus EA Sports. EA Sports, enough said. We talked about them each and every week. They're pretty much out of it. They're playing a spoiler right now. But You Got Moss did what they were supposed to do at this point, putting up 174 points, getting back on the win trail. EA Sports putting up 65. Schaub and Aaron Foster for You Got Moss put up 79 combined. EA Sports, you put up 65. Big Ben is hurt for you. Macklin is hurt for you. I think that's more injuries added to your list. Your season's over, buddy. That's all I got to say. You Got Moss, he had some bad news. Schaub is out for the season. Your backup Castle is out for the season. We'll see how that plays out for you. It's bad news for you. Sorry, buddy. Next up, we had the Rook versus If You're Not First, You're Last. Probably the hottest team in the league right now. The Rook did pull this victory off, 109 to 63. If You're Not First, You're Last. Dropped to 3-7. Not looking real good for you guys heading into the playoffs. Nobody over 20 points for you guys. I think your season's close to over. You got to win this week to salvage it. Meanwhile, the Rook, Matt Ryan is finally coming around for him, and we've all heard from him. We don't know what he can do, but Chris Johnson, 20-plus points, finally. I know what the Rook is saying. Finally, I got some action from this guy. Now, if these two start putting up points and the Rook keeps making the right decisions, he's on a 3-game win streak right now. He might be a force to reckon with when the playoff time comes. He's currently holding on to that last spot. See how it goes. We had 2 games of the week last week. First off, Franchise versus Pimpin' Ain't Breezy, basically a first-place team. Franchise ended up winning this game with A-Rod's performance on Monday night, 120 to 107. Both teams sitting at 7-3. Fitzgerald also had a monster game for Franchise, putting up 30. He's currently tied for first in the West Division, while Pimpin' Ain't Breezy is tied for first in the East. The next game of the week in Week 10 was between America's team and the whole effing show. A little bit less exciting. America's team took this one pretty easily, 121 to 64. Both teams, again, are 7-3, sitting at first place, tied, of course, in their division. America's team, or Team Tom Brady, 36 points for him, and MJD showing some of his life with 24. The whole effing show. Flacco, you mean he's your quarterback, not putting up 20-plus points. I don't even think he's a top 10 quarterback. See how that can take you in the playoffs, man. I don't know if it's going to take you too far. Let's take a look at the standings with that said. Okay, like I said, I see first place in each division is now up for grabs. There are 2 teams atop of the West and East Division that are tied for first with a 7-3 record. Not to mention 4 teams, only 2 games back from the first place teams. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. A lot can still happen in these 2 divisions. First place and maybe second or third place can flop positions. I know this much. If you're not first or last, needs a lot of help, sitting at 3-7. You just got mossed and oh no backups. Sitting a little bit better at 4-6. Nonetheless, they're looking from the outside in. You know, they're not in the playoffs right now. They're going to also need some help. Now, I know I just dropped a bomb on a couple of teams out there. Let's take a quick break. Let it settle in. Let them take a deep breath, cool off, before we get on to the weekly prizes and the Natty's Finest first ever Skype interview coming up right after these messages. It's the Commish, Natty's Finest Studios.
Round 2, TK421.
Fantasy owners with 3 receivers averaging at least 1,000 yards are more likely to emerge victorious. I'll take a wideout.
Impressive.
I shall now select a kicker.
Kicker.
I find your lack of faith in my selection disturbing.
My mistake. Good pick. See you in the playoffs.
Can't wait.
And we're back. It's week 11. I'm the Commish. Let's get into the $10 weekly prizes. Week 1, highest points by total team, Wildcats. Week 2, highest points by any player, Gully Gully. Week 3, highest points by a quarterback, the whole effing show. Week 4, highest points by a running back, the backups. Week 5, highest points by a wide receiver, the rook. Week 6, highest points by a tight end, Pimpin' Ain't Breezy. Week 7, highest points by a defense, Franchise. Week 8, highest points by a kicker, America's Team. Week 9, highest points by a total team, that will be Franchise again. And Week 10, highest points by any player. You just got mossed with that performance by Arian Foster. Week 11, ladies and gentlemen, will be the highest points by any quarterback out there. If you got a good quarterback, I'd suggest get him in the lineup this week. I don't know why you wouldn't. Okay, it's that time. For the first time in Natty's Finest history, we've got a Skype interview with them boys. B-Rob is going to be the interviewee. First time in the Natty's Finest studios. Here we go. How you doing, them boys? Can you hear me all right? Welcome to the Natty's Finest studios. I really appreciate you stopping by. How you doing? Hey, thanks, Commish. I'm glad to be here finally in the Natty's Finest studios and look forward to it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yes, finally indeed. Let's actually touch upon that. Them boys seem to finally be on the come up right now. At 5-5, you're well off in the playoff race. Can you talk about, your season thus far and how you got to this point? By the way, what are you drinking right there? Actually, it's just a little bit of my special concoction, a little bit Gatorade, tequila, whatever I'm finding around the house, drink of choice. But sure, it's been a long, tough road this season. It's not over yet. We had some key injuries at the start of the year. Felix was out. We're still dealing with those injuries, but we're getting healthier, and we're getting healthier at the right time of the year. We made some great free agent acquisitions this year, not to mention some great late round draft picks to get us to the point where we're at right now and to kind of make up for those injuries at the start of the year. That's funny, man. 1800 Gatorade, best combination right there. I like your style out there. And injuries seem to be a reoccurring theme this year in the NFL. Excuse me. So what were some of your free agent pickups and those late round draft picks you were referring to how you've been utilizing all season, to account for your injured players? Talk about that. I'd have to say probably my best pickup is the latest one, wide receiver from Dallas Cowboys, Laurent Robinson. He's really helped me get to the point where I'm at right now, helped Romo out, my quarterback. He's got 4 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, 100 yards in 2 of those games. He's a great replacement for Miles Austin. And I got to say, Jordy Nelson and Michael Bush, I drafted them late in the draft. I drafted them in the, I believe, later half. Not round 1 through 7. It was round more like 8 through 15. So I consider that a steal. Jordy's, as you know, is a top 10 wide receiver. Michael Bush, he's an absolute stud in McFadden's absence right now. So, yeah, definitely those 2 with Laurent Robinson's helped carry my team thus far. Okay, I got to ask, correct me if I'm wrong now, but you drafted Darren McFadden and Aaron Rodgers only to trade them to franchise for Tony Romo and Adrian Peterson. Speak on the rhyme and reason for this transaction. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us why you did it. How did I know you were going to bring this up, Commish? Yeah, clearly one of the biggest transactions of the year happened before game even started. Ultimately, I knew A-Rod was going to have a good year. He's Aaron Rodgers coming off a Super Bowl victory. I knew he was going to have a good year. Clearly, not as good as this that he's having right now. He's got like 28 touchdowns and 2 or 3 interceptions past the midway point, 9-0. Ultimately, I knew A-Rod late in the season was going to have to play at Lambeau. It's cold there. Not a pass-friendly place. With the playoffs during this time, the end of the season, a good playoff push, I didn't want to have that chance of him falling off for me. I've had that happen in the past, a quarterback not doing good later in the season and in the playoffs. So I saw some value in Romo. He has an easier schedule at the end of the year. A lot of weapons. I just thought there was some upside to getting Romo out the deal. As far as McFadden, he's a viable number 1 in my opinion. That's why I drafted him. However, he hasn't finished a full season, I think, since he's got in the league. So he's an injury-prone back. I didn't want that to be my number 1 running back. And if I'm not mistaken, franchise, you'll have to vouch for me on this one. But he hasn't played in the last 3 weeks. As I said, I have Michael Bush, and he's doing work for me. So seems like it's working out right now. We'll see how it plays out. And AP, just to touch upon that, I don't have to say too much about Adrian Peterson. Top 3 draft pick in any fantasy league. I think he's got 9 or 10 touchdowns right now. I think a little bit more than that, and he's on pace for over 20. So, compare McFadden to Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson finished the seasons. He's well known, and he's done it in the past. So, had to make the transaction. And if I had to do it again, I would. I'd do it again. Thanks. Okay. Well, there you have it, straight from the confident, not to mention not so bad looking manager of them boys. I have to say it's been a pleasure having you on here for the first time. Great Skype call. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks again. Oh, thanks, Commish, man. I like your style too, man. You're an all right guy. I'd love to come back on the show whenever you invite me, right after I win the Super Bowl. That's when I'm going to come back on the show. You heard it here first. B-Rob from them boys. We're taking the chip this year. Don't let us in the playoffs. Cheers. Thanks again, Commish. Hey, listen, Daddy's Finest will be sure to set that up if you end up winning the chip. Thanks again, B-Rob. Take care and good luck. B-Rob, ladies and gentlemen. Now that's an all-around nice guy right there. I felt like we had a lot in common, It's the first time meeting him, and definitely going to invite him back in the future, whether or not he wins the Super Bowl or not. I feel like we hit it off, and he's the kind of guy I could hang out with outside of the office and, grab a drink of choice with him. Big ups, B-Rob.
Let's play a game, all right? On the count of 3, name your favorite dinosaur. Don't even think about it. Just name it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Velociraptor.
Favorite non-pornographic magazine to masturbate to?
Good housekeeping.
If you were a chick Who's the one guy you would sleep with?
John Stamos.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
So, B-Rob did make a good point, though. Injuries and how he's been dealing with them. He seems like he's got a good hold on injuries and how he has an answer for them. But this has been happening since day one this year. People have getting injured for 3 weeks, injured for the whole year, injured for that game. Let's take a look at some of the key injuries for each team at this point, and kind of how they're affecting them. Starting off with Gully. Ahmad Bradshaw has been out for, I'd say, 4 or 5 weeks. Miles Austin's in and out of the lineup, and Andre Johnson. I don't know when he's coming back, and Tim Hightower. So he has 4 key players, 4 starters that would normally be in your lineup from week to week injured and haven't been in the lineup for the past 4 weeks, I'd imagine. EA Sports, this guy, I don't know. If you got to trade a Super Bowl for a season like this, I might do it, but his season is just, I couldn't imagine going through a season like this. Starting off with Big Ben last week, broke his finger. Jeremy Maclin's questionable for this week. Jamal Charles, week 2 or 3, gone for the season, and Santana Moss, I think he's gone for the season as well. So EA Sports definitely got the injury bug hit hard on him. You just got mossed. Tough week last week. After a victory, Matt Schaub out for the season. Backup quarterback Matt Castle out for the season. Frank Gore been questionable for the last 2 weeks. AJ Green, good week last week, hyperextending his knee, questionable this week. LT will not play this week. Hopefully, you got a good quarterback in line. Hey, Tim Tebow's out there. Oh no, backups. Not a big injury, but still an injury that affects your team. He was your number 1 overall draft pick, Michael Vick. I wouldn't say he's first round material as far as the points he's been putting up, but still, he is your first round pick, and he is injured. We'll see if he plays this week. I think you pick up Carson Palmer, if I looked on the transaction list correct, still viable backup. We'll see how it goes. Franchise, that guy again, Darren McFadden, still hasn't finished an entire season healthy, been injured for the past 3 weeks. And Julio Jones seems to be in and out of the lineup with a nagging hamstring injury, I believe, but we'll see how he goes this week. Pippin ain't breezy. I don't think Java Best has played in the last 5 or 6 weeks. And Ernest Graham, he got injured for the season. I think that was in the game over in London. He got injured for the season, so he will not be back this year. The Rook with Peyton Hillis, he hasn't played for a good 5 or 6 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Madden curse is real. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with this week's matchups. Of course, my picks, the game of the week, and the Natty's Finest Power Rankings. Be right back after a word from our sponsor. It's Kamish, Natty's Finest.
Be right back.
Okay. Greg Jennings. Nice Fantasy Hall of Fame jacket.
I know.
12 touchdowns in only your second year.
I am pretty awesome. What you need to do is find this year's Greg Jennings.
I will.
Can I?
Sure.
Oh, that's soft.
Who's this year's Greg Jennings? Find out first at ESPN. The best experts, best features, best game. All for free at ESPN.com.
All right, we're back. Let's take a quick look at this week's matchups. First off, we got them boys sitting at 5-5 versus Gully, also sitting at 5-5. Them boys on a 2-game winning streak. You just saw him in the interview, feeling real confident right now, playing hot. Gully, on the other hand, is on a 2-game losing streak. I'm going to go with the hot team. Them boys, I like what I heard in the interview. Gully, all those players injured. I don't know who you have starting, but it seems like Eli is your only person dedicated to get 20-plus points each week. So I'm going to take them boys. Too many injuries for Gully. Next up, we got Wildcats sitting at 5-5 versus Franchise sitting at 7-3. I think A-Rod can only do so much for you. Wildcats flat out are going to win. They have better players, they have better backs, have better wide receivers, maybe not a better quarterback, but A-Rod is not going to carry your team this week. I think the Wildcats are going to be too much. All-around good team. EA Sports versus Oh No Backups. All I got to say is Oh No Backups, you have to win this game. it is a must-win. Do what you got to do to win. EA Sports is 1-9. I think it's going to be a close game just looking at the matchups. You know, what are you going to do if Vic's out? Hopefully Carson is that viable option for you. America's team sitting at 7-3 versus You Just Got Mossed. And, you know, you heard it on the injury report. He had a devastating blow to 2 quarterbacks, and his running back is out, as well as his wide receiver. Not to mention Foster and Colston are on a bye. You know, I think I've said enough. America's team wins easy. He just doesn't have the players in the lineup this week. You know, you just got mossed. You better hope Oh No Backups loses as well to stay in the playoff race. Next game, If You're Not First, You're Last versus the Whole Effing Show. Now, If You're Not First, You're Last is sitting at 3-7. Wow, Whole Effing Show is sitting at 7-3. Must win for If You're Not First, You're Last, if you didn't know already. I don't know. I got to go with the Whole Effing Show. He wins, ends the season for If You're Not First, You're Last. Sorry. It's been a good season. Whole Effing Show. Hopefully Flacco starts to progress you into the playoffs and then starting to play better because you'll need it. Trust me. Game of the week. Pimpin' Ain't Breezy sitting at 7-3 versus the Rook, probably the hottest team in the league right now, sitting at 5-5. You know, this is going to be a test for the Rook, if you ask me. You know, is he a real contender this year? Is he going to have that viable effort? You know, I don't know. I just don't know. Could go either way, if you ask me. I'm leaning towards Pimpin' Ain't Breezy. Anything could happen. But if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd have to go with Pimpin' Ain't Breezy. There you have it. Week 11 is a critical, trust me when I say critical week for every team in the league. Well, except for EA Sports, of course. And if you're not first, you're last, unless you guys win this week. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, it's about that time. Week 11 Power Rankings brought to you by the Natty's Finest Studios. Here we go. Week 11 Power Rankings brought to you by Natty's Finest Studios. 1, Pimpin' Ain't Breezy. 2, America's Team. 3, Franchise. 4, The Whole Effing Show. 5, The Wildcats. 6, Dem Boys. 7, The Rook. 8, Gully Gully. 9, You Just Got Mossed. 10, Oh No Backups. 11, If You're Not First, You're Last. 12, EA Sports. All right, those are the power rankings. I'm the commish. It's week 11. Good luck to all the managers out there. Must-win situations across the league. I will see you next week. Natty's Finest. Thanks for the support. Signing off. Hi. Is your team struggling in fantasy this year? Have you not won a game yet? It's already week 9. Do you have one player that puts up 10 points and that's your key player every week? I'd like you to call right now, number below, 1-800-WIN in fantasy. That's the commissioner's number. Live advice, live game feed, and on your first call, we guarantee you'll win that week, or your rest of your season's free. And again, that's number 1-800-WIN a fantasy game. Number's right below on the screen. This is the commissioner. Give us a call. You'll win a game.